up in the Delta, I think it's the best place to grow up. My greatest memory is the Little Red School that we used to go to when I was a little girl. It had the pot-bellied stove that we would get our heat by, and the outdoor toilet and all of that, and that's a memory I will never forget.
Yeah, I actually grew up in Cary, across the creek, as we call it, which is about a mile over. As a child, I grew up with my grandparents. My parents lived in Chicago. Grew up here, raised here, went to school here, attended most of the classes that was offered here. We had Promise Partners, Team for Christ, Little Brothers Cadets, some of BBS. So I came up through all of those programs that was offered here at Cary Christian Center. So it was a community that was really family based and family oriented.
There were happy times growing up in the Delta. And when I was growing up, families were families. We worked together, we prayed together, we played together. You know, families helped each other out and was concerned about each other's well-being.
I think the people in the Delta are the best people or neighbors that anyone could have. They're generous, neighbors care about each other. If there's something going on with one family, the other family always helps out. It's the best place to be.
Very friendly. They're very friendly, and people in the Delta are very generous and always willing to help. Growing up in the Delta at that time was really good. I grew up living with my grandparents, so I lived on a farm where we grew most of our food, such as the beans and the greens, and then we would raise hogs, and so we didn't go to the grocery store very much. And as far as the education wise, the bus would pick us up, and we would travel to. When I first started out from 1st through 3rd grade, I was going to the school that had only blacks, and then I think when I made it to the 4th grade, that's when they integrated, and I started going to school with blacks and whites.
Been wonderful. Back in the 70s or the 60s, family was closely knitted together. There was a lot of love and concern, and people used to travel, especially I can remember in our house after church, other people would congregate and they would eat and laugh and talk. We just would combined or connected with love, and there was few crimes and guns and things like that. It was sort of as a disadvantage, and simply because of the facilities and the lack of opportunity to work. We didn't have really transportation to go to another city or between cities. We just have to, rely on other to carry us places until we, got transportation. Mm-hmm.
The Mississippi Delta was always a family-oriented neighborhood, and here in Myersville I can speak of, and we had a very strong faith base here in our community. So growing up in the childhood as a kid, church was always the number one priority. And my fondest memory is after church, we would always go to motorcycle rodeos. So I'm an avid motorcycle rider for over 45 years. We were farmers, and we grew soybeans and cotton. And now we are mainly focusing around corn. That's the most crop that needs the less maintenance and bring the highest yield.
Not a lot of crime, less expensive to live and raise a family.
The Delta is pretty much flat land. We grow like cotton and beans, and it's very small and pretty much owned by farmers.
Delta always has been wonderful. Back in the 70s or the 60s, family was closely knitted together. There was a lot of love and concern, and people used to travel, especially I can remember in our house after church, other people would congregate and they would eat and laugh and talk. We just would combine or connected with love, and there was few crimes and guns and things like that.
Gospel music and the Mississippi Delta blues.
This is the blues. Everybody talk about the Delta is known for the what? Blues.
Mississippi Delta is truly known for the blues, the down-home blues, and also our southern gospel. Those are some things that just automatically tie yourself to the Mississippi Delta.
As far back as I can remember, the music that was mostly played in the Delta was the blues. When growing up, I lived next door to a cafe. And on Sunday afternoon, there was this man who would come down from Leland, and he would have a guitar, and he would sit out there in front of that cafe, and he would play the blues all day on Sunday. I even had a neighbor across the street who would sit outside and play his guitar and play the blues. But we grew up on the blues.
The Delta.
Delta.
The Delta.
The Delta.
The Delta.
The Delta.
I would say an untapped resource.
Peaceful.
Backwards.
I would sum up the Delta using the word poverty.
Beautiful.
That one word for the Mississippi Delta, where I was born and raised, would be paradise.